Budget hearing for the Office of Management and Budget. So welcome Mary Vossler, Councilor Latoya Allen, President Helen Hudson, Councilor Steve Thompson, Councilor Mike Green. Is Joe, I think Joe Driscoll's around. Councilor Bay is here and will be here in a moment. And I'm Councilor Rudd. Mary, feel free to give us an introduction. People have been doing accomplishments and goals for the next year, but however you like to frame it.
Sure. First, I want to introduce the people on the budget staff who do the work every day in the budget office, and especially did yeoman's work this year trying to get this budget together. Mary Yaley is our budget analyst too, and Julie Castellito, who is sitting next to her, is our new assistant budget director who started this past September. So when we talk about accomplishments, I think the big accomplishment was getting all the work done in our department with basically 3 people. We have in the roster, it's noted that there's 6 people, but there are unfunded positions, 2 of which, and there's one person who's been on administrative leave for 9 months. So the bulk of the work that we do, which is it's been a heavy workload since last year at this time. You know, we prepare and administer the city's budget for all the departments and all the bureaus, which totals about 49. We do the capital improvement plan in the fall. We prepare the mid-year budget report. We monitor all the departments' fiscal operations on a daily basis. We have to authorize all the purchase requisitions that go through the city and to the county for every single department, for every single expenditure where a purchase order is required. And we also authorize the payments for non-purchase order vouchers, which is also numerous transactions that go throughout the city. We do confirmations of debts with the Depository Trust Company in coordination with the Finance Department. We approve all travel vouchers, all personnel requests, and employee status forms. We track take-home cars with mileage logs. We work on the purchase side. We do a lot of the legislation that comes before you for waivers of competitive bid, all the mayoral agreement letters. We do contract administration in conjunction with Onondaga County. All the RFPs, RFQs, RFIs go through our department. And we also work with the personnel department with all the healthcare plans, employee benefits plans, the pharmacy benefit plans, and we do PeopleSoft work with the IT department when there's new modules that come out and new testing that needs to be done. So it's pretty extensive. Our goals for next year, and we're in the process of hopefully completing them maybe by the end of this fiscal year, but probably not until the next fiscal year, is to get this integration of PeopleSoft and Hyperion. Hyperion is the budget software that we use. It is separate from PeopleSoft, and we need to get budget versus actual financial statements. And how we get them now is we have to cobble the 2 systems together. It's time consuming and it's unproductive. So we are currently working with an outside consultant to get that integration, and hopefully we'll have that soon. Our department is basically 3 people, a copier, and some paper in the budget department. In the purchase side, there's been some changes this year, or for next year. We had a purchase contract clerk that helps us with our contracts, and an office clerk that works on some vouchering, but there's also 4 new people in that department. Alicia Chris is heading up she'll be the assistant director of purchase, and there's 4 additional people in that department. I'll ask Alicia to explain how that's going to be working. It's part of the fiscal operations department, but right now it's going to fall under purchase. Do you want to just give a brief overview, Alicia?
Hi, counselors. As you probably know, because we've talked before about this, so we're working on centralizing our fiscal functions in the city. It's improving our efficiency, accuracy, and consistency with all of our payments citywide. So as a first step of that, first we had the pilot in the fall. We had our Tiger team We had data proving that that really helped us in a lot of ways. We showed more accuracy and we were paying bills faster. So we decided to start implementing by permanently bringing on, we have 3 young ladies now in the department working on centralizing that requisition process, ordering products for the city, and also then paying for them. So we haven't brought on all the departments yet. We still have some major ones outstanding. We're working with DPW right now. That's going to be a big one, but that's what we're working on. So
can you tell me how it differs from what was done before?
Sure. It's centralized.
Well,
so that means that where the departments
flow-wise, I guess is what I'm asking. The flow-wise of I request something. Before I requested it, it went up and X, Y, and Z happened. Now, how does it happen differently?
Before it happened largely decentralized in the departments. They were doing their own requisitions, and which caused inconsistency, and then payments, the receipts and the vouchers in PeopleSoft were done out at the departments, which was causing a time lag. And just especially we've noticed since we've been centralizing this process, everyone was doing things differently, and we were spending a lot of extra money because of it. So we're actually saving a lot of money by having just the same group of people doing those things. So really, the departments are still requesting what they need, but they're doing it to our team. They're telling our team, this is what I need, and then our team is actually putting in the requisition in PeopleSoft, and the department is, again, when they receive like the packing slip and invoice, they submit it to our department and we pay for it. So it's more specialized, kind of like we know the system better than people who were just doing it as 10% of their job. Now it's 100% of our job. We know what we're doing, and we know we're doing it right. Does that help? Sure.
Well, actually, I had a barrage of internal control questions, but I think you answered it with one statement, so that's over. I only got 2 questions left, and that is, well, really one. Do we have any debt service that is retiring before June 30 of this year or next year, June 30?
I'd have to look that up. You know, we have a lot of debt service, a lot of bonds.
Right.
I'd have to look it up. But, you know, we're constantly issuing new bonds.
Mm-hmm.
So the city's policy in terms of when we do our capital plan is to, for what we want to bond, what we're paying off is what we will put out in new bonding. You know, give or take a little bit. But so when these bonds get paid off, that's great, but we got new bonds coming in.
Right. Everybody clear on that? Not on what she said, but just on the process in general. All right. Well, I would like to know.
What bonds are expiring
Yes,
at the end of
please.
this year?
Yep. And at the end of next year's cycle.
In particular, so that we see whether we're going more into that, right? Are we retiring? Are we issuing more than we're retiring? Is that the nature?
That's always the question.
Yeah.
Well, next year you will be issuing more than you're retiring because we
Right.
have to go to the bond market for the LED lighting.
Right. So to not have that, how would we be aware of what our bond rate is and our bond rate?
Does the LED lighting make us, is this like the highest that we've ever done before?
In my 9 years here, our geo bonding every year is between 13 and 15 million.
So, Mary, on that, I hadn't even thought of this. Well, I had thought of this, but I hadn't put it with you. After the streetlights are bonded for, the $38 million, we're hoping for a savings from NIMO
Right.
of $3 million. Where is that reflected in the budget?
So we haven't gone to the bond market to bond for those lights yet because the purchase transaction is not finished. But We kind of looked at it as a performance contract where the LED lightings were going to save in energy efficiency, and we were also buying the lights so that I think it's $280,000 per month facility charge would go away. So what you hope for is your debt service will cover your savings on the facility charges and the energy usage.
Is there a cap on bonding?
A cap on bonding?
Yeah, like, is
There's
there
a debt limit.
Yeah, there's a debt limit.
what's the limit?
I don't have that, I don't have the numbers in front of me.
It's basically like based on the 5-year average assessed value.
Yeah, there's a calculation.
Like you can't go.
We can get it to you.
on a balance.
Okay.
My other question, Mary, you have three, you said you have three positions open. One of them is on extended leave?
I have an employee on administrative leave, yes.
Administrative leave.
Well, suspended, I'm not sure what to call it. It's
I would call it
it's
administrative, not extended.
You'd have to talk to the law department.
On administrative leave. Is that paid administrative leave?
Using sick
time.
time and all that stuff, right?
That's A. B then is, so there's two other positions. Are either of these positions working in other offices?
No, there's no money behind them.
There is no money being.
No, there's a management analyst and an information aide, and there's no money behind those numbers.
Two positions unfunded.
Correct.
And if these positions were funded, what would that do for you?
Well, extra capacity to get things done. You know, we have a lot of work. There's a lot of work to do in the city on a fiscal basis, and this would certainly help with that.
Yeah, do you want to elaborate on that, Mary, a little bit, like about capacity with your office? Because I've heard a lot of times that you guys are spread very thin and you know.
Well, there's a lot of things that you know we're trying to just to keep up. You know, with 3 of us, just to keep up with the daily workload is a lot. There's thousands of purchase requisitions that go through the city. There are thousands of non-PO vouchers that go through the city. They go through that PeopleSoft work list, and it all has to be it has to be attended to on a daily basis, or a vendor won't get paid. The purchase department, how it's laid out now with this central processing, has worked very well because the vouchers are coming through the system on a more timely basis. So we're not seeing, you know, 5 and 6 weeks lag here. Stuff's cutting through in 2 and 3 weeks, which is what you want it to be. There's always more projects to do in our department. You know, I said we did the take-home vehicles. We kind of tracked those. We've not tracked any mileage on them. I mean, we could be doing some work on that. Working more with the departments on their fiscal operations, on one-on-one. I mean, we do as much as we can, but I would really like to be sitting down with them, you know, either the department head or the fiscal operators, on more of a, you know, at least once a month, twice a month, to see, you know, here's where you are, you know, this is where you should be, what do you project where you're going, so we get better projections of where we're going to be towards year end.
Right. Is there any discussion with the administration about expanding capacity or you know?
Well, I'm hoping that this situation with the administrative leave, the person on administrative leave will get resolved, and that we could hire for this position. And when you hire people with good accounting backgrounds, they know, you know, they basically go through and audit stuff, and it's, you know, they know what they're looking for, and it's a thorough process, and that's what you want.
So the 2 unfunded positions, last year, were there 2 unfunded
Yes.
positions? The year before that, were there 2 unfunded positions?
I can't remember when we went down, but
Where did those positions go? Did they just?
They just got absorbed. Someone had left the city. You know, usually it was in the summertime. We could absorb that workload, and then we just kind of absorbed it.
Okay. It wasn't that people left yours and then showed up somewhere else.
Correct. They didn't. Correct.
Mary, can I ask you, how long has it been now since we've combined our purchasing with the county?
Since 2011, late in 2011.
Okay, so do you see a savings, and how big of a savings do you see with that?
I've never really tried to quantify it, but the county purchase operation with the city, I think, works very, very well. They are very responsive to our requests. They produce, once these purchase requisitions are approved, purchase order turnaround is pretty quick. They have access to all those national contracts, state contracts. They know where to go to buy something very quickly. And they save us money. Usually when I think we're going to be going out for the salt bid here pretty soon for next year's rock salt. And, you know, last time it was the county, it was a couple counties, it was a city, it was a number of municipalities. And we're able to, you know, leverage that economies of scale to get cheaper prices.
You described 2 unfunded positions within your budget. You're the budget director. There seem to be unfunded positions in most departments. Why does the administration choose to leave positions that are unfunded instead of just taking them away and having the headcount reflect the reality of the money?
If you take the title away, and
I've
civil
heard
service.
That that's untrue. It doesn't just disappear. That it's just like, why would it just disappear because we budget properly? I know that's the reason that's been given year over year, that we have to keep it because if we ever choose to hire it again, we would have to then go create a new civil service title. But
You don't create a new one, you try to get the old one back.
so
I've never had the situation where I've had to do that, abolish positions and then try to get them back. So I don't personally know how difficult of a process that is with with civil service at the county.
I personally think it would make sense if we adjusted the budget, the headcount in the budget to reflect the money in the budget. I mean, universally across all of the departments, because it just makes it harder to understand. It's one more element.
I agree with you, and that actually, going through the budget process this year, on my to-do list for this summer, that was one of the items, because it was...
Oh, if it's on your to-do list, maybe we could do it right now in
No,
April.
it just, not across the whole city. It is confusing. It's confusing, I think, for the departments, and it's confusing for you, and I think there's a better way that we can show that information.
Do you know how many unfunded positions there are across the entire city?
No, I don't.
No, we don't know how many unfunded positions.
I know the police have 26 right now. That's about the only department I really track.
When was the last time we adjusted the budget indicators for the departments on there in this budget document that we all get every year?
The departments, when they get their budget instructions in December, they also get these indicators, and they are the ones that are putting these numbers together and reporting them back to the budget department to include it in the document.
But the indicators, in my opinion, they seem stagnant. They don't change. Do they change?
Some do.
How do they change?
You'd have to ask the departments.
So you're not changing
I'm
them
not monitoring their
to them?
Yes, I'm not monitoring their activity indicators at all. If something looks, when they give it back to us and something looks really out of whack, we usually ask them, hey, is this a typo? Is this a correct number?
Okay. I think there should be more interaction around the indicators. They should be improved so that they reflect productivity more often. There's departments that they judge themselves by the hours they spend doing things. And that seems like a pretty bad measure. Because if you spend more time, it doesn't mean you've done any more work.
But it may.
But it may, from Counselor Thompson. It may.
It may.
I would say then show what it may change instead of showing the hours.
You've cut 2 positions and that one person is working more, then indicate that.
Anything?
Nope.
All right, with that, we can close the budget hearing on the budget office.
Budget the budget.